We'll be converting inequalities to and from set notation to graphs to interval notation. So we'll be going through all three. So let's just look at a number line. This is a number line, contains all numbers, 0, 1, 2, etc. Behind is -1, -2, and etc. Okay, and if we want numbers, let's say from 1 on this way right here to the right, we'll be using a greater than sign. Okay, and the greater than sign kind of looks like the arrow to the right, and so I'll put a little solid here at 1. So a greater than sign, this is x, which is all the numbers that are greater than, and since I have it filled in, or equal to 1. Okay, and if I had another number line, let's say I wanted the numbers going this way right here to the left of 1. So I'm using 1, 0, -1, -2, etc. So I will use a sign called less than sign. It'll look like this. There's the less than sign. And see how it looks like this part right here. It'll be all the numbers less than or equal to, because I have it filled in here, 1. Okay, so again, if we're going to the right, we'll use a greater than sign. If we're going to the left, we'll use a less than sign. Now, when you have the less than and the greater than sign, the way I try to remember which one is which is that the less than sign looks like an L for the word less, whereas the greater than sign does not. Okay. So, those are your clues. Now, let's go here. X is less than or equal to 5. So on a graph, okay, and instead of putting 0 here, let's just put 5 right there. 5. And then there's 6 in front, and then there's 4 behind. And x is that's a less than or equal to 5. So, and see how it looks like an arrow going back here. So we're going to use this side. So we're going to fill this in right at 5, and all the numbers are going to go back here. So we're going to use 5, 4, anything before. So this will be the graph. So I'm just going to use this part of the graph. So solid dot right at 5, then a graph that goes back, and we'll finish. So we only need this part. We don't need this part over here. Now the interval notation for that is, first, how far am I going to the left? Well, since I'm going back forever, little arrow here, I am going to negative infinity to the left. So that's what that's going. Now where is this going? To the right. I'm going no further than 5. So this is an interval that goes from negative infinity, that means everything to the left, and stopping at 5. So since I'm stopping at 5 as a bracket, then we'll separate this with parentheses. And for the infinities, you always use parentheses because we can never stop at an infinity. So the interval notation will be negative infinity, comma, 5, and then that. Okay, let's take a look at x is greater than or equal to -4. So on a number line, there's -4. What's in front of -4 is -3. What's behind -4 is -5. Okay, so we want to be greater than 4. See that greater than sign? It looks like this guy right here. So we're going in this direction. Now, since there's no line underneath, which is the equal sign, we'll put a circle, and that'll say we're not using -4, but we can use anything to the right. So we can use that -3, we can use a -2, just any numbers that's to the right, just not -4. So this right here, I'm going to use this graph. So this is an open graph, or open circle here, and it goes to the right and starts at -4. So that means I'm not using -4, but I can use everything afterwards. Now the interval notation for that. The interval notation is that as far as to the left, the furthest I can go to the left is -4. So -4 is how far I can go to the left. How far I can go to the right is over here, which is I can keep going to the right infinitely. So that's, and then positive infinity means keep going to the right. We'll separate them by a parenthesis. Now, by a comma, sorry. Now, for the -4, since we're not using the -4, we're going to use a parentheses, which means we didn't use the -4. But we can use everything after it, like a -3, a -2, and etc. And for infinities, we always use in parentheses because we never can stop at the infinity. So interval notation will be -4, parentheses -4, comma, positive infinity, and then parentheses. Okay. Let's take a look at number 3. Number 3, we have a number line here that goes from 5 to 6 and on. So we can use everything after 5. I am going to, let's see, let's work with the set notation. So this is, X is all the numbers, and this is from 5 on. So this is, I'm going to use this right here to, that's a greater than sign, okay? I'll use that arrow to help me with the sign. And then since it's filled in here, we'll use a equals to. So now X is greater than or equal to, and that number there is 5. Finish. Now, the interval notation for this, we look as far can we go to the left. This is as far as we can go to the left, which is 5. So we'll put 5 there. How far can we go to the right? We have we can keep going, which is positive infinity. So that's my left and right for interval notation. How far I can go to the left, how far I can go to the right. Now, since 5 is being used, I'll put a bracket. So that lets us know we can use 5, we can use 6, and everything else after 5. We won't use a bracket on infinity because we can't get to infinity. We can't use it. So we use a parentheses. And we're done. All right, last one. We have -4 here, and we see that it's going to the left, and that little arrow means that when I put X here for set notation, I'm going to have a less than sign because this and this look alike, so it helps you. All right, I don't need a line here because that's open, so we're not going to use the -4. So this means we're not using -4, but we can use -5, -6, anything before -4. Now the interval notation for this is how far to the left and how far to the right. How far to the left first is we keep going to the left infinitely. So that's a negative infinity. So that shows what's going to the left. Now how far we're going to the right is no further than a -4. So comma, -4. Okay. Now for the infinities, whether it's positive or negative infinity, we always use parentheses. And the 4, since it's an open circle, we're not using the 4. So to say that we're not using the 4, but everything before it, like a -5 and anything, we say parentheses. This means we're not using the -4.